2 nights ago, the Newport Gulls were here at Cardines Field on a misty and foggy night and prevailed in comeback fashion over the Martha's Vineyard Sharks in a shortened 5-inning contest due to the fog. Fast forward to tonight, a beautiful Friday night in Newport where the sun is back out and we're ready for baseball again. Welcome into Cardines Field here in Newport, Rhode Island. I'm Sam Reese, and it's a rematch of last year's championship matchup between the Newport Gulls and the Bristol Blues on tap tonight. We got a whole lot coming up on the Newport Gulls pregame show, so make sure you stick around for much more on the way.
I won!
That's a good play!
Since 1974, the Rhode Island Lottery has paid over $57 billion in prizes and contributed over $8 billion to Rhode Island's general fund. Your Rhode Island Lottery, a good play for 50 years and counting.
Welcome back to the Newport Gulls pregame show. I'm Ryan Lino, and alongside me here is the only guy who spends more time at Cardines Field with a mic in his hand than Sam Reese. It's our MC, Ryan Cox. Ryan, how are you today?
Doing well, thanks for having me.
All right, so Ryan, you have a really fun job. Why don't you tell us about what your day-to-day looks like here at Cardines?
Yeah, absolutely. So I spend the morning kind of working on a script that I'm going to talk through with Scott, who's my assistant MC, trying to get some kids to participate in some of our games, prep some information just to kind of talk to the crowd about.
And what sort of games do you love to play with kids? What's your favorite game that you get to play with the kids?
Oh, that's tough. The donut eating contest is super entertaining to watch. Race the bases is always really exciting because they're also trying to kind of dodge a little bit of the pitcher warming up. So it's a little bit of a danger element, unfortunately, but it's a ton of fun to watch these guys get into it.
Speaking of race the bases, it seems like every night at Cardines, there's something different about the race the bases race. What's your prediction for what will happen tonight?
I'm just hoping nobody hits goalie at second base. That's all I ask for.
We haven't actually seen that yet this year. It's kind of been unique. Speaking of things that were unique, you were off Wednesday night, but we saw something that is unique to Newport, and that was a fog out. What is so unique about the weather here that just makes Cardines such a special place?
I think it's sitting right on the water, so right on the other side of the field is the bay and the ocean, and I can't ask for a better setting. You get a nice sea breeze coming off the water right before the games, and it's just a perfect place to play ball.
You've been with the Gulls for several years now. Obviously tonight, a rematch of last year's championship series. Can you walk us through what that meant to you winning the championship last year here at Cardines?
Yeah, absolutely. It was absolute magic. So we were down at Muzzy Field for that game. It was my first season with the Gulls last year, just so to cap that off, trying something different for the summer, and then to cap it off with the championship win was just absolute magic.
Well, that is a perfect way to cap off the summer. We'll see if the Gulls can cap off this week with another win over the Blues. When we come back, the pregame show rolls on.
Welcome back into the Gulls pregame show. I'm Sam Reese, now joined by Dixon Williams. Dixon, you were one of the later arrivals for Newport, but now you've started to get into a groove with this team. Almost a hit in every game. That was finally snapped the other night. But how have you been able to kind of come in, play with so much confidence at the plate, and make an immediate impact?
Yeah, I think just the guys around me, they're all very supportive, and we all believe in each other, so it's very easy to fit right in and, just enjoy playing baseball every day.
And right when you arrived to Newport, because you had just got there, you were batting more towards the bottom of the order, but now kind of rising your way up towards the top, batting cleanup tonight. Do you kind of embrace batting in that 4 spot as the cleanup hitter? Do you have kind of a preference, or do you not care? You can bat wherever.
Yeah, I think you can, produce runs anywhere in the lineup. 1 through 9, everybody's really good. So I don't really have a preference. Everybody likes to hit at the top of the order, but anywhere is really fine with me.
And then now that we're almost at the end of June, just talk about kind of the camaraderie, the chemistry that you guys have developed. How confident are you and you feel like the rest of your teammates are that you guys can, make a real push, get some momentum going throughout the month of July, and before we know it, the playoffs will be around the corner?
Yeah, I think just like I said, trusting in each other, believing in each other is a big part of it, but it's baseball at the end of the day. Anything can happen, and you just got to get hot at the right time. So hopefully we do that, but we're playing well and hope to continue to do that tonight.
All right, yeah, the Gulls hoping to get hot tonight against the Bristol Blues in a rematch of last year's championship game. Thanks so much for the time, Dixon. We'll be back in a moment as the Gulls pregame show rolls along. And a warm welcome back into the Gulls pregame show here on the Newport Gulls Broadcast Network. I'm Sam Reese, now joined by the general manager and president of the Newport Gulls, Chuck Pava. Chuck, it's always good catching up with you. I know we talked very early in the season, and now it's almost the end of June, approaching the midway point. So just take me through these last couple of weeks and how, what you've gone through to kind of assemble everything with a lot of moving parts, as is always the case with summer ball.
Yeah, it just seems like it's a little bit more than most summers.
Okay.
There's been a lot of movement, guys showing up a little bit later than normal, and guys already having to go look at schools and the transfer portal, and then some injuries you're dealing with already. So we've done some shuffling, and we've added new guys to the roster. Sam, you probably see one or two new guys almost every week, and mostly pitching.
Yes.
But we added another position guy just to protect this team. We're the last 2 years we had a rather robust roster, a lot of guys. But this year we're thin, so we're actually concerned about that we don't want to be too thin, and one guy goes down with an injury, now you're in trouble. So that's why we added Carmelo a couple days ago, and we'll continue to look for pitching as we go through the summer, because we're not in July yet. We lost 2 arms today. Two starters, Mar and Ter, are both done now.
Okay.
So you got to adjust. You got to keep that pitching going, and maybe find more pitchers.
Right, one of those new pitchers that was recently added, making his debut tonight, in Drew Blake. So you talk about all of those moving parts, and obviously not ideal losing guys like Mar and Tier, and then in the infield, Staten. Talk about just dealing with that adversity and how you think the team has overcome that so far early in the season, because the Gulls are still leading the Coastal Division as things stand.
Well, we still have a very talented core group. So when you have one guy here and one guy there that you replace, the core group is still pretty strong. And the guys that you add, typically you want to add that, and they're good fits for what we have or what we need. So myself and the coaching staff will stand around and we'll talk about it and try to determine who would be the best guy to add at any certain time, and we go through that process.
Right, and with July right around the corner, we're almost at the midway point of the regular season. Just looking at a bigger picture of how another summer here in Newport has gone, based on the game day experience here at Cardines, and how you and the coaching staff have helped assemble the roster with a lot of moving parts. How do you feel about that at this point in the season, would you say?
Well, I just kind of alluded to, I was a little nervous or concerned that we were too thin.
Right.
So we added Carmelo. We're still talking about are we good? If one guy goes down, Brody can't play the outfield because his shoulder's bothering him. So you're limited there. Today Nolan's sick. Okay. So now you got 3 outfielders. That's it. So this is why you have to be careful, because you got another 30 games to go.
Right.
Or whatever, how many games we have left. But I also know that July's your season, so it's going to happen to everybody, but you got to prepare yourself.
All right, thanks so much for the great insight, as always, Chuck. We appreciate the time and all the efforts you put in to making this roster as good as it is here in Newport. The Gulls dealing with some adversity, but they'll try to overcome that tonight in a rematch of last year's championship matchup against Bristol. We'll be right back as the Gulls pregame show rolls along here on the Newport Gulls Broadcast Network.
I won!
That's a good play!
Since 1974, the Rhode Island Lottery has paid over $57 billion in prizes and contributed over $8 billion to Rhode Island's general fund. Your Rhode Island Lottery, a good play for 50 years and counting.
All right, that's just about a wrap here on the Newport Gulls pregame show. We thank everyone who took their time for us to interview here on a beautiful Friday night in Newport. It's the Gulls and the Blues for the second and final time in this regular season anyways, in a rematch of last year's championship series in which Newport prevailed. Always fun when these two teams square off in a non-divisional matchup. First pitch coming up at 6:35. If you want to catch the action, you can watch it over on ESPN+. But that'll do it here for the Gulls pregame show. I'm Sam Reese saying thanks so much for watching, everybody.